I'd like to also extend my welcome to all of you for joining our summit here today. I think the mayor and John really set the stage well for what the situation we find ourselves in today, which really truly is a crisis of confidence in digital security and privacy today. And to add a couple more stats, John shared a bunch of really good ones. There is this 2016 Verizon data breach report that shows the number of breaches. And this is just not the direction we need the curves to be going. Obviously, they're growing unbounded. And the other interesting thing about this Verizon data breach report is actually the source, the assets that attackers are going after. So it used to be that attackers would go after the servers, the data centers, where the crown jewels are. What we're seeing now, and this graph shows it, the two blue lines that are pointing up and growing are actually the new assets that are being focused upon, which is the users and the endpoints, the devices that the users are operating every day to get their jobs done. These are now the new weak points, and this is where the attackers are coming. And so what's really important about that is it shows exactly why BlackBerry is so well positioned to address this crisis of confidence. Because if you think about everything we do in enterprise mobility, it's focused upon helping our users, mobile users, administrative users, be more productive and more secure. Now, we're going to be bombarding you with lots of great technical detail on the solutions, how we address this crisis of confidence. But first, we're going to continue to set the stage and extend what we started last year, our tradition of having a live hack, because it really helps you just visualize some of these emerging threats that face enterprises today. Last year at the Security Summit, we hacked a infusion pump, a hospital infusion pump. And while that was really eye-opening, most of you do not have hospital infusion pumps in your networks. And so at this year's summit, we decided we're going to instead hack a new kind of device, one that is commonly found in your enterprise networks, but one you probably haven't thought much about when it comes to security. So to perform that live hack, now I'd like to welcome on the stage Campbell Murray and Fraser Winterbourne, members of our cybersecurity services team, to perform the live hack.
Okay. Good morning. Thank you, Dave. As said, I'm Campbell Murray. I'm Technical Director of BlackBerry Cybersecurity Professional Services. With me today is Fraser Winterbourne, who's my head of R&D. A few words about the cybersecurity services. It's a relatively new concept for BlackBerry. As has already been spoken of today, we've got a deep-rooted history of expertise in security engineering, in app development, a huge amount of knowledge, vast quantities of really world-class individuals who are all working internally to make BlackBerry the best that it can possibly be. However, the mission is to extend the accessibility of that expertise to a wider audience. Thus, these cybersecurity services portfolio has been created. Now, Fraser and I were previously from encryption. We're a UK-based pen testing company, and we really focused on penetration testing. That was our expertise, and we did that for government, military, financial, all sorts of people around the world. We also performed digital forensic services, and we had a really good track record on training people, mentoring and bringing them up. But now that we're also part of the wider BlackBerry family, we can also offer security engineering, security development lifecycle services, and the whole from concept to delivery to certification, security consultancy services. And what we're going to be looking at today is an IoT device. Now, a few words about IoT. It stands for Internet of Things. The first IoT device was conceived in 1993 at the University of Cambridge in the UK. This was for some lab workers who connected a coffee pot to their network with a webcam and various other sensors so that while they're working down in the lab, an inconveniently long walk for them, they could check on, is there coffee in the pot? Do we need to make a phone call? So that it's ready by the time they got there. So really, this was the first IoT device. But the term IoT wasn't coined until 1996, when we started really becoming internet connected and internet connection being put into things outside of personal computing devices. Now, the IoT device we have here is a tea kettle. Could be anything. Could be anything. Could be a fridge, blender, juicer, physical access control systems, SCADA systems, if we're familiar with those, industrial control systems, also fall into the IoT category. Literally any device that is not a personal computing device that can be network connected can be considered IoT. They're everywhere now. From 1993, where we had the concept of an IoT device, of connecting something that's got computing power, it can perform computing functions, but it's limited, it's not a personal computing device. Gartner estimate, as we've already seen on the slides that have been coming up, 6.4 billion devices connected to the internet in 2016, an increase of 30% from last year. That's enormous. And when we've got more devices on the internet than we have people on the planet, which probably already are there now, we really are living in the IoT age. So, we're going to show you some flaws in this kettle. I'm not going to show you one. This isn't just one hack. We're going to show you 3 hacks. Okay? And all of them are principled on a failure in secure engineering. So Fraser's going to be performing the hack. I'm just going to be talking through what we're doing. So are we ready? Okay, so we can get Fraser's screen up on there. And we've created some fairly simple infographics for you, so we can try and explain this. Fraser and I are by nature deeply technical people. I've been pen testing for 20 years. Fraser's been working with me for 8 now, I think. Master of engineering. You know, we'll try and not get off plot. So we've created some nice simple graphics for you. The setup that we've got to demonstrate for you here today is the wireless device. You're probably familiar with those. You'll have them in your house. You'll have them in your office. This is a secure Wi-Fi network, I should say. I will point out, to be technical, it's WPA2 with a very strong password. Not the best, but not the worst. You know, enterprise grades Wi-Fi security may have additional protections, but for your average home, office, small enterprise, this is what you're most likely to find. Now, the kettle is connected to the wireless network, and we've got a smartphone represented there, because the app on the smartphone would allow the user, like the guys in the lab, go boil the kettle, boil it in 2 minutes when I get there, so it's ready when I walk into the kitchen, I can make my coffee. You can set it to boil on schedule. You can set it really worryingly, and this is something we won't demonstrate because we don't have long today. It can boil on location. And the implications of that are really quite significant. We can compromise the kettle, and your smartphone app is talking to that kettle, and it's designed to boil when you get home, or it's designed to boil when you arrive at the office. It knows where you are. We compromise that device, we know where you are. The loss of personal privacy issue around something so simple is quite significant. So we'll get on with the compromise now. So as we can see, we've got Fraser represented down there in the bottom right, our evil hacker. Now, we've got a bit of distance between the attack and the kettle. You can see there's no cables on the kettle apart from power. Simply powered on. It's communicating completely wirelessly. So Fraser could be sat out in the car park or in the bushes at the back of your office to perform all of these functions. Now, the first thing Fraser's going to do, if we can get it up on screen, is we're going to create, and we're going to demonstrate the first security engineering flaw. We're going to create a copy of the Wi-Fi. Have we got it up there? Great. A copy of the secure wireless network. But it's not an exact copy. It's not a secure network. It's simply got the same name. So you know what the wireless network's name? We refer to them as SSIDs. You probably go home, and your wireless network is called Smith's Home or whatever you decided to call it. All we've done is we've replicated the SSID. So we have this rogue access point sat down there in the corner. Still, the kettle is still connected to its legitimate one, and it's still using encryption across the Wi-Fi network. So if we were to view the traffic that's traveling between the kettle and the network at the moment, we wouldn't really see an awful lot, because it's encrypted with a very strong key. However, due to the protocols which are around the way Wi-Fi works, I'm going to stop myself from getting too technical about it, we have a function called deauthorization, which is by design. Now, what's going to happen now is not a hack. This is simply the way Wi-Fi is designed to work. So if you can deauth the kettle now, please, Fraser. Yep, great, got that on screen. So we're just sending frames, just sending wireless traffic from that aerial there, and it's just trying to tell the Kettle, disconnect from the Wi-Fi network. Now, this is by design. Quite often in large enterprise networks, you might have multiple devices. If one stops working, you need to tell it to disconnect. If it's not communicating, tell it to disconnect. This is a feature. It's not a hack. It's actually how these things work. And what the Kettle's done is our access point has a stronger signal than the secure network. So it's connected to that. And there's the first flaw in security engineering. The Kettle provided no verification it was reconnecting to the right network. We've now got it on our network. We'll get the next slide up. That Kettle's now talking to us, not to its original network. The flaw in design, the lack of development lifecycle assurance that's been put into putting this device together and out on the shop floor, they've not really thought this through. They've not looked at the risk modeling. They've not performed that consultancy piece. So now that it's communicating with us, we can communicate with it. And here we're going to see the second flaw in security engineering. So we've got Fraser up again? Great. Here's our second flaw. So the device has a command shell. Again, try not to be too technical. It has a mechanism by which we can communicate with it to run commands. Obviously, it is a computing device because the smartphone has to be able to communicate with it in some way. It's communicating over an insecure protocol, but that aside, I mean, okay, that's a fourth security engineering flaw. We've got a real problem with this. Whoever designed this really didn't put any thought in security because the password is super simple. It's 6 zeros. Yeah, I know. There we go. We can now see in the bottom left there, we have communication. We are talking now to the Kettle, and we're running one simple command. We're going to see the third flaw. We've extracted the stored Wi-Fi password for the secure network. That's your third flaw. That password should not be stored in a reversible or an unencrypted form, because there is no layered approach to security being demonstrated in the engineering of this device. But now that we've got that, we can move on to listening into the secure network. Now, at this point, we've created no footprint. As an attacker, we can see here we've got this is what we can see when we don't have the key. Now we have the key. Fraser will pop that in quickly. And you're going to see the shape of that network traffic is going to change dramatically. Because what is previously encrypted to us and secure, and believe me, that office network was considered secure. The people using it knew they had a strong key. Once we get some traffic going, there we are. Now we're seeing standard network traffic. This is in plain text to us. So there we have our 3 security flaws that have allowed us to compromise the network. And we're going to show you a couple of other principles as well. As I say, this is only a short demonstration. I would love to go on. The issue with this is that any communications, and this is a real flaw, this is where defense in depth has been completely missed out of the development life cycle, of the security process that's gone into designing not just the Kettle, but the office network as well. If we compromise any communications across that wireless network, there is no forensic team in the world who are going to be able to discover how we did it, because we only compromise the Kettle. We turn that Kettle off, turn it back on again, it has no memory. Someone just says, turn it off at the wall. All trace of what we've done is erased forever. There is no way of recovering it. So, in a bring-your-own-device world, we can get a device here. We can come over my shoulder. We were to connect to our secure network and just collect some email from our intranet. So there we've got a fairly confidential email being displayed. Wonderful. And if we can now show that collection of the email from a bring-your-own-device, now, me as your average office worker, I've connected to the secure network at my office. Of course it's OK. What have we got, Fraser? Let me show Fraser's screen. So we've got a packet capture. Because that email, as it was collected over the wireless network, despite it being encrypted within the wireless network, the layer of security below that one attempt at securing their communications failed. The email collected on that device was not secure. It was not encrypted, so we've been able to decrypt it. Now, putting that into context, Fraser sat in the car park out the back of your office. He's compromised your secure network untraceably. He's not logged onto your network. He's not created any footprint, but he's collecting your secure communications. And that's all through an IoT device. And as I say, it doesn't have to be a Kettle. It could be anything. So how do you defend against that? Well, obviously, one, you don't put poorly engineered devices on your network. But when you're doing your security audits and your risk assessments, are you really thinking about the hardware in the kitchen? As we become increasingly technical, increasingly evolved in putting technology into mundane household devices, we've really got to start thinking about these things. But a layered approach to security is more appropriate. So I've got here a BlackBerry Priv, and we're just going to download the same email. There we go. So we've got the same email. Sorry, you got that? So we've got the same email downloaded over a BlackBerry Priv running Android, secure Android, over a BES service. And have you captured that as well, Fraser? If we can go back to Fraser. So capturing that from the wireless network, we see a completely different shape of traffic. Yes, we can see a few headers saying it's BlackBerry Secure Connect. That's the connection to the BES service. But the message is also encrypted. So we've got a layered approach. We've got a second layer of encryption protecting our communications. And obtaining these layered approach, these engineered secure platforms for secure messaging, for secure document transfer, are obtainable. It's not simply a BlackBerry hardware thing. I mean, we've got a Samsung S2 tablet here, which I mentioned before. These are available to win in raffles. And this is, again, running Android. But what we can demonstrate here is some of the BlackBerry family. So we have the BBM for secure messaging. We've got BES 12 for secure email and mobile device management. We also have good technology. Had the bring your own device user been using some of these products on his iOS device, we wouldn't have been able to capture that email despite the initial compromise of the network. We've also got watchdogs for secure file transfer and ad hoc notifier for crisis management. And all of these installable across multi-platforms and also, of course, on BBOS, not just Android and OS. So that is a very, very brief demonstration of how flawed security engineering can completely topple in a very, very short period of time. That's taken 14 minutes for us to compromise your network and capture some insecure communications. These things are very rapid. There was no footprint left to be identified. So when that acquisition hits the news and the forensic investigators come in, no one's going to have any explanation of how that was done. Security engineering, development lifecycle from conception to delivery with penetration testing, assurance services, and certification at the end is what we're really developing and offering with the BlackBerry Cybersecurity Professional Services offering. And on that note, thank you very much indeed. We'll grab our things. We will be available in the demo booth. If you want to find out more about IoT, about this compromise, or about any of the products, we've also got some other kind of funky hacks that we can show you as well, not around IoT, but with some other stuff going on. We will be in the demo booth. Please do come and see us if you've got any questions, and thank you very much. Well done.